Hey everybody, welcome to Canadian music in the 80s and 90s and more. I hope you like what you see, and if you do, please subscribe and say you like it. It is a pleasure to be joined once again by Ed Sousa, my one of my favorite concert promoters and just all around good guys. You've
Who
had a
said I was your
busy
favorite, Alan?
you've had a very busy year with these shows again. You want to just give me a briefing of all the great
uh,
artists you've had in?
we've sometimes when we don't even know what we're doing half the time, meaning that we lose
Yeah,
track. We have quite a number of them because they come in waves.
yeah,
We try not to do too much in the summer because it gives us time to recuperate.
right.
So we're heavily, towards early winter, springtime, and then in the fall. Because the summer and plus around our area, as opposed to I guess anywhere in Canada, the people in the summertime, they're away, holidays kick in, and
Yeah,
of course cottages on the weekend. In the summer, if you're going to do any shows, you're better off doing them weekdays than on
yeah,
weekends, especially around the Toronto area. Everybody's gone,
sure.
unless you happen to be one of the major acts, because people will stay in town to watch them and then go back up
Right.
north. So for us, is again, we're coming up to a fairly heavy period coming up, starting next year, and then we go right through, like I said, until about late spring, and then we pick up again. The summer gives us a chance to recuperate, and then we start unveiling our fall season around the end of August, or midway through August until the end of the year, and then it's kind of a an endless cycle in a good way. You know?
You've been doing some more work at Alma Combo now. What's it like? How is the new Alma Combo?
Yeah, it's if anyone that's watching or listening hasn't been to El Macombo, you should. It's literally the best venue in Canada. I mean, from an iconic point of view,
Sure.
of course, as everybody knows, all the acts that have performed at the history,
Mhm.
second to none. I get artists contacting me specifically wanting to play there,
Yeah.
and some that have played in the past in terms of the old El Macombo, they want to play in the
Yeah.
new El Macombo.
Yeah.
And when I brought over Greg Hawkes and his band, a member of the Cars, because he's basically the only touring member of the Cars that's still
Yeah.
carrying the flag. And the Almo has these iconic steps where artists that have performed there have their names listed on the
Yeah.
steps, and the Cars being one of them. So Greg, and they performed there in 1978.
Wow.
And there's bootleg copies that Chum FM was involved in that show, and
Yeah.
there's bootleg, and actually people that showed up that night had some bootleg copies
Really?
of the
Wow.
night show. And Greg was, and plus they had the ticket stubs from the show, which I think was like, don't quote me on it, but I don't know, it was about $5. I can't remember the exact cost, but it was like there's no service fees. Tax was like, I don't know, 25 cents. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, relating it to today, yeah, good luck. But he was enthralled with the entire experience. Took pictures besides, of course, the cars' names on the steps, and like kind
Yeah.
of took it all in. And he says, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm back here."
Yeah.
And we get quite a lot of that from again artists that have performed there in the past, but the new ones that we bring in, it's and for me personally, being heavily involved in the industry, yeah, it's if you're going to work
Sure.
with anyone or with any venue, that's you might as well start there.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you miss those days when Chum FM or Much Music used to actually do concerts like that? Like the Spoons, I remember the Spoons big ticket on Much Music, and Glass Tiger did one. I think Honeymoon Suite did one back in the day, and you just don't see that anymore. And it kind of sucks.
It's well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with, of course, cost and
Yeah,
the logistics of it. There's a lot more involved than people realize. That's why a lot of people
yeah,
are not in the business anymore. And if the truth be told, there's really no money in this industry.
yeah,
The Taylor Swifts of the world, they suck all the oxygen out. So
yeah,
imagine this. So a parent who has, a daughter or son that's a big Taylor Swift fan, and she was just in Toronto for, 6 shows, and
yeah,
literally having to mortgage your house to take your kids to see the
yeah,
show. So how much does that leave for the parents to enjoy a regular show of 30, 40, $50? There's not a lot of money
yeah,
left over. And a lot of the quote unquote, smaller acts, as we call them, and the, smaller venues, it's very tough to compete because once Taylor comes to town, she takes all the money with her. there's
And all
nothing
the
over
attention too.
all the attention, so that you can't compete against them. It makes it very, very difficult. So for us, we try strategically to put shows on days that there's not a lot of competition. We bring artists
Right.
in that nobody else can bring in. Like we have Derek Forbes, the former bass player and founder of Simple Minds, coming up to
Hmm.
Canada for the first time with his band. We had the guys from Spano Ballet came up to Canada to do
Oh,
some
wow.
shows for us. They fly in and they fly out. They don't work with anybody else.
Yeah. These are superstars to us for sure.
But yeah, no.
Um,
I mean, when you mention a band like Spano Ballet, I mean, who doesn't know True? You may not know a
yeah,
lot of even though I mean their library is so extensive, but
yeah,
minimum True. And when you hit number one worldwide and it's sold millions of albums, it's still a bit different dealing with international artists as opposed to Canadian artists because unfortunately, again, a lot of Canadian artists never made it outside our borders.
yeah,
Whereas, when we bring in again Spano Ballet guys or Simple Minds or China Crisis
yeah.
and Modern English, I go on and on and on.
Mid-year.
Mid-year, I mean,
Yeah,
it's completely different because our audience are like going, "Wow, they're here," but we
yeah.
have just as talented artists, or in some
Oh, for
cases more
sure.
talented, but because they never made it outside our borders, they're not looked upon the same way,
Yeah,
which I dislike, but unfortunately, it's reality.
yeah.
And so I try to push them as much as I can because they really, really need to be seen and heard because all they needed back then was one break that they never got.
Well, I was
So
talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me I go, I don't know if you realize how big of an influence Skinny Puppy had on Nine Inch Nails.
yeah, no, and on it, I mean, even now with When in Rome about because they didn't know the Spoons at all,
Yeah,
and they're like going, if people knew these guys back in the day, they would have
yeah,
blown up all over.
yeah,
And again, all you need is an opportunity. So
yeah.
in my position now, I try to do what I can to make sure that these individuals get, the opportunity that, not to say it's too late, but listen, if you're going to get out and sell more albums than that and people get to know your work, then, we've done our job.
I mean, Gord's playing with Flock of Seagulls now from the Spoons, and touring with Flock of Seagulls and the Spoons at the same time. That
Yeah,
80s
that
club.
that one
Yeah,
one day I'll tell you that story. That's a long story how I got them together. That was pretty cool back about I think 2016 or 2017 because they didn't know each other and called Mike up. Mike's been a friend of mine for 20 some odd years, and I said, can you come up to do a show? Just come up on your own, and then I'll get your backup band. And he says,
yeah,
okay, who are they? And I said the Spoons. He goes, who? Like never heard of them. I go, don't
yeah.
worry. And he loved Gord's guitar playing. And then, Lord and behold, not much longer after that, Gord's in the band.
And
Right?
the
And
band's touring with three other Canadian legends.
yeah,
Canadian,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Ivan, I mean, never sounded better. And they're really, really
yeah,
tight and without hats. Of course, Spoons are the Spoons. And Honeymoon Suite, I mean, I can't say enough about him as well. And Honeymoon Suite is them, Loverboy, and maybe a couple of other ones that literally have all the original members.
yeah,
I mean, very few bands, like we discussed at the intro, because of health or, for other commitments, have decided they don't want to tour anymore. But Honeymoon Suite
right.
and Loverboy's another one that's basically they're all original members, but we don't have many of those left.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Well, even Honeymoon Suite, Derry was telling me their keyboard player with them now has actually been with them longer than any of their original keyboard players
And
were.
he's Pete's the cousin of the original keyboard player, so it's a
Yeah,
world, right? And
who I actually saw playing keyboards with Kim Mitchell in Moncton.
yeah, and
Ray
he
Ray
plays
Coburn.
Rick Coburn. He plays a lot as well with. I could be mistaken, but I think he also plays with Roger Hodgson.
Oh, from Supertramp. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so
So
that there's again, it's a very once people are in it, it's a very small industry. Everybody knows everybody else, right?
it
And
is.
that's why it's in our position we treat everybody with the utmost respect because at the end of the day, your reputation precedes you, and we have no intent, in mistreating everyone. It's we try to always under promise over deliver as they say and so far it's worked so we're able to get artists like mid-year
Yeah,
and come up not once not twice multiple times.
yeah.
You can literally just pick up the phone and he'll if he can he'll come up and perform for you.
What's it like when you see these bands all together at some of the rock and roll shows you do? And like, is it like a reunion for these guys
Yeah,
backstage?
it's a reunion, but I think more importantly, it's reunion for the fans.
Yeah,
There's one of the local high schools. It's their actual reunion once a year.
really. Wow.
So X number of them get together. That's almost the only time they see each other, where they get together and they come out for a show. And as you know, we started our series as a 1 day event. I didn't know where it was going to go, so I said, let's see where this is going to go. It was basically to bring attention to the charity, to Ronald
Sure.
McDonald House,
Yeah.
and it went exceptionally well. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try it again. So I didn't even change it. I just brought the Spoons and Honeymoon Suite back the second year.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, there's something to this, right? So then we had another band the following year. Then we added another day, and then we added another day, and now we have a pre-show on the Wednesday night to kind of kick off the series. This past May, we had Rick Emmett from Triumph
Wow. Yeah.
by to do one, and then we bookended with our secret show, which nobody knows who the artist is until they physically walk on stage. And this past May, we had the Art of Noise from the UK.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
mean, and Art of Noise hadn't been to Canada since 1986. So imagine sitting, and capacity for those shows are about 100 some odd. So we make it really intimate because there's a Q&A component. They can ask the
Yeah.
artist and vice versa. And so imagine being in a room with the Art of Noise and being able to ask them questions.
That's crazy.
And then you get to meet them after the show. We don't
Yeah.
charge extra for that, and the artists really enjoyed that experience. So yeah, it's a and like for me, when I reached out to them, because we have a mutual friend in Jesus Jones, who I've also the only individual
Yeah.
literally to bring him up to Canada, and so they're literally best mates. One of the members of um, of Art of Noise and Jesus Jones. And then when I contacted Art of Noise, they contacted Jesus Jones because I worked with them, and they said, this gentleman Ed from Canada contacted us. I've heard something about him, but don't really know. But you guys have worked with him. What's he like? And my friend at Jesus Jones said, if Ed calls, you just go.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And so next thing you know, they said, okay, we'll do it. And now they want to come back.
And that's what Midyear said when I interviewed him. He says he knows you quite well and he'd do anything for you if he
Yeah,
can.
no, it's a feelings mutual, and again, can't say enough about Midge. And again, like we stated at the outset, Midge is one of those individuals that you can't believe you're talking to Midge.
Yeah.
And a quick story about him: we're sitting in the green room at one of the shows, and so he's sitting on the couch, I'm standing, and I go, Midge, do you ever pinch yourself that you're Midge? And he laughs and he chuckles. He goes, no, but I pinch myself all the time. People should never stop pinching themselves because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in and out of the industry that I respect their work. So sometimes I can't believe that I'm talking to them.
Right.
And so he feels the same way. So however people feel about him, he feels the same way about others. But yeah, he's Midge. Like I look at him now, to be honest with you, I don't see him as Midge anymore. I just see him as a friend of mine that I can call. I can call him right
Right.
now and say, Midge, how you doing? Right.
Yeah.
And so again, but I never take that for granted. It's a blessing to be in a position
Sure.
that you can call individuals that you idolized as as a much younger person, because in some cases we're the same age. I
Yeah.
mean, they could be a couple of years older, but they're not
Sure.
like 20, 30 years older, right?
No.
And so we're kind of counterparts in that sense. So for me, I just again, but I still, yeah, there are days that you're kind of sitting there and you pinch yourself. You go, did that really happen?
Yeah.
And I hope it never changes, honestly. And I hope that feeling never goes away. I think it allows you to do what you do because you really enjoy it, and it becomes a passion project.
I enjoyed talking to him about some of his connections with Canada. Like he actually told me he came on a vacation to Prince Edward Island once with his family, and
Yeah,
I asked him about some of the venues he's played in Canada over the years, like Massey Hall and the El Macombo back
yeah,
in the day.
yeah.
And to play the El Macombo again like last year, and
He
it was
lived.
cool.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he told you he lived in outside of Montreal for a year.
yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
lived in Quebec for a year.
yeah,
It's funny, on one of the trips that we brought him up, there's some document that wasn't filled out, and they kind of asked him 1,000 questions, as they should, right? Not because it's
sure.
him, because they have certain rules to follow. And then when we picked him up at the airport, he said, I thought living in Canada for a year I get a grace. No, No, they treated it. I go, no, Mitch, I made sure you got the same treatment as everybody else does, you
Yeah.
know. But it's
No,
yeah,
it was great to chat with him because I can't believe I got to talk to him about Do They Know It's Christmas
yeah,
briefly.
yeah.
And then I asked him what he thought of the We Are the World documentary and Canada's contribution to it. And it was just neat to hear him, speak about that to me. Like I can't
No,
believe
no, yeah,
he spoke to me about that. It was
yeah, yeah.
unbelievable. Like,
But however you felt, Al, is the same way that I felt. The same way when
yeah,
I introduced him to everyone that wants to meet him. He never says no.
yeah,
I got contacted by Drew from Strange Advance because Midge had a show out west, and
yeah,
of course Drew's also Scottish. And he goes, Ed, would it be possible? Can you contact Midge? I'd really like to meet him. I go, no problem. So I just sent a quick message to Midge. I go, Midge, a good friend of mine, Drew from Strange Advance, is a fan of yours. A few. He goes, yeah, absolutely, right. So they met each other. They even posted some pictures online. Yeah, that's just him. That's Mitch. So it's nothing.
yeah.
You even if you're asking for, I don't know about blood, but the shirt off his back, I'm sure he'd give you that, right? That's just how he is.
Oh, he was great. He was an absolutely amazing man to talk to. I also got to talk to the Kings recently.
Oh
And
yeah,
you've been working with them too. How's
yeah.
that?
We just had him last Sunday, a week ago Sunday. Yeah, we had him back in the end of November, November 24th or 25th, whatever that's not. Yeah, the Kings are. People have to see them.
Yeah.
They're like infectious. They're like a bad disease in a good way, if there's such a thing, where they get into you and you can't help it, but you start bouncing. They're like, oh my god, I love those guys. Honestly, that they're so much fun to work with, and they're like a party band. They're
Yeah,
really, and they have so many more hits than Switching to Glide,
they
but
do. They do.
because Switching to Glide was such a massive hit
Yeah.
that people forget it dwarfs the rest of their library because of it.
Yeah,
But when you go see them perform, and they perform for quite a while. I mean,
they
it's like
do.
after hit,
Yeah.
and it's so the beats are incredible. Really enjoy working with them. Great guys, Mister Zero, Dave Double D. He's, I mean, all of them. They're really, really good guys. Worked with them on numerous occasions.
You're probably like me. You probably recommend a lot of people dive deeper into the catalogs of some of these people that we
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
promote and interview.
yeah. From a promoter's point of view, to sell a show, you can't dig too deep because then you lose the audience.
Yeah.
So you have to keep pushing, what I call top of mind hits.
Yeah.
But for to kind of cinch the deal, and they say, what else do they have? Then it gives me an in to say, by the way, have you listened to this one? Give this one a listen, give that one a listen. But that's not your intro. If you lead with that, you lose
Right.
them. So because they say,
Um,
oh, don't really know that song, don't really know that song. Then all of a sudden they go, that's kind of grown on me. But you got to hit them with the Kings. You got to hit them with Switching to Glide, or else you've lost them.
yeah. Now I'm going to post it. I posted it on the Facebook group, and I'm probably going to use it as a screenshot for the beginning of the YouTube video. But your countdown of albums for the year.
Yeah.
Um, but
Uh,
you want to talk about some of
no,
your
yeah.
albums?
Like our company does that every year. And so what we try to do, and me specifically, is not necessarily just to look at, artists that I grew up with,
Right.
but in the majority of cases, artists that were influenced by the artists that we grew up with.
Sure.
And selfishly, artists that I think people should like the Marias.
Yeah.
Not to say that nobody knows who the Marias are, but a lot of people don't know who the Marias are out of California.
Yeah.
People should give them a listen. They got that kind of Latin Spanish influence with them,
Right.
and it may be an acquired taste for some, but it's a great album. It's
Yeah.
a even the I mean, you mentioned the to a lot of people. First of all, they go, "There's no band called the," right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, but yeah, like in Soulmate, I mean, it took them a long time for Matt Johnson to come out with, but that's a great album. Here's what I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you. Here's the secret. The secret is if because originally the Flock of Seagulls album wasn't going to be released until the new year.
Yeah.
So they were in production. They weren't sure if they're going to be released this year because, I've heard basically every track. And if it wasn't for that, then the just by default would have been number one.
Yeah.
But as a Flock of Seagulls, the people that know they're my favorite band. So I mean, their new work, and they're not number one just because they're my favorite band. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone deserve to be known. Some Dreams Alone is for people. They play it live all the time, and it's a phenomenal track. I quick story. I let my wife hear it, and I didn't even tell him who the band was.
Right.
And this is a great song. Is this a new song, like a new band? I go, no, this Flock of Seagulls. She goes, really?
Yeah.
And I said, she goes, this. So I sent Mike a message. I said, Mike, I let my wife hear the song without even telling her it was you. And this was her comment. He goes, oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
but yeah, the like all of them. We can go artist by artist, yeah, but there's
I know you had the new Honeymoon Suite
oh,
album on there, which I find incredible. I
oh,
love that record.
yeah, like I said, if it wasn't for other releases, including The Cure, it would have
Yeah,
even been higher on the chart because they definitely deserve to be in the top 10. And I
for
don't
sure.
care anybody's chart. They really deserve to be in it.
Oh,
It's
they're still at the top of their game, writing, producing, playing.
I mean, like you said, live, they're second to none. I mean, they bring it every single night. They, let me put it this way. So they've been headlining our McBull concert series this coming May. I mean, I'm not letting in anybody in any secret because everybody knows.
Yeah.
So they're coming back to headline our concert series next May again. So
Okay.
Friday, May 23rd. So this is going to be, or this would have been, the 10th year in a row. It's eight
That's
because we
great.
got to take the 2 years off, right?
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of a festival of any type to bring back a headliner? Never mind 8, 9, 10 years in a row, even twice in a row, maybe
Yeah.
twice, but for sure not 3 times.
Yeah.
That's how much of an impact Honeymoon Suite has. And it's the show out of all the days that we do that sells out the quickest, sells the most tickets. We have to turn so many people away. I've actually considered, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll ever do it. For sure, I'm not doing it next year, but I may consider it because our 10th anniversary is coming up in 2027. If they're willing, we may bring them for 2 nights
Wow.
back
And
to.
you'll that'll sell out too,
No,
both
that's why
nights.
they're just that good and great guys, every single one of them. I mean, from of course Johnny, Derry, Dave, Gary, Pete. They're all really, really great guys.
And then you got Derry to bring her daughter in.
Yeah, yeah. She's come for the last 2 years. Sometimes it's difficult schedule wise, but she came down and she has quite a following as well. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the crowd that quote unquote a honeymoon suite crowd would be,
Sure.
but the ones that enjoy people, we sell tickets just because she's coming,
Yeah.
and they'll go.
She's a talent. She takes after her dad in many
Oh,
ways.
she's great stage presence and great lyricist. She's going to go places. And so yeah, so if we have the opportunity, I don't think it can be this upcoming year because we're really tight in terms of
Sure.
budget and schedule wise. Because at the same time, when you get to be our age, mine more than yours, Alan,
Yeah,
it's a long day. We open up the doors at
it
five
is. Yeah.
o'clock, and by the time it's done, we wrap up about in some cases 11:30 midnight.
Oh,
It's
really? Wow.
it's because when we book artists, they play the full set, so we don't bring anybody in to play for half an hour.
Yeah.
We let them play literally
Let
minimum
him.
60 minutes, all the way up to 90 minutes. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
So it's and there's not. I mean, there's some seating, but not seating enough for everyone. So it's
Yeah.
a matter of people want to stretch their legs, but we have in and out privileges, so it allows people to kind of in between changeover,
Yeah.
and people that still smoke and have a cigarette come back in. So there we have a lot of advantage that a lot of other venues don't.
Couple things I just wanted to touch on.
For sure.
One thing I want to know if you're a fan of when bands celebrate an anniversary of a milestone album and play the whole thing live. Are you a fan of that? I am.
Yes, I am. I'll tell you why. Here's a perfect example. I have one coming up with China Crisis.
Okay.
So Flaunt the Imperfection is coming up to their 40th anniversary of the album.
40. Oh, wow.
40th anniversary. They
Wow.
released that in 1985. And we are so fortunate that it's their only performance that they're doing in North America is for us.
Really?
Going
Okay.
to be
That's
at the Alamo on February 23rd. So they're flying in and they're flying out. Fortunate enough that we're really good friends, so they did me a solid by by coming up and performing
Right.
their actual tour in support of that 40th anniversary album is not starting up, I believe, until April. They're making an exception to come up to Canada in February. Think of all the months to come to Canada in
Yeah.
February
The
to
best weather.
do one show,
Yeah.
the Elmo, for the 40th anniversary. So there's a perfect example where we're actually doing that with China Crisis because the album is so good, and it's their it's not my favorite album from the band. Working with Fire and Steel is my favorite album
Right.
because it had Wishful Thinking, which is my favorite song by them.
Yeah.
But from sales wise, and that's how bands say, what's your most popular album? Is which album sold the most? That's the most popular album.
For sure.
And the Soflanti Imperfection sales wise was the one that outsold them all.
The other question is, I've read that they've done some renovations at Classical.
Yes, we did a multi-million-dollar renovation. It's to, like any other business, to serve our customer base in a greater fashion, and like anything else, right? Like, I mean, every business needs an update, and so we revamped quite a bit of it. It's not fully completed yet. We're still waiting on, a couple of odds and ends, some lighting fixtures that still have to come in. A lot of stuff like even behind the scenes
Right.
that some kitchen equipment, things of that nature that doesn't really affect the run of the business per se. But yeah, it's made a big impact so far. But we wanted to actually do more, but just because of the time that we're
Sure.
working with, we had a lot of time constraints. So we're going to continue starting next summer again to complete the end of it. But yeah, it's an ongoing process, and but we never closed. So we
Yep.
remained open throughout the whole process, and our shows never got affected. Like our R&B sessions that
Okay.
started in October with When in Rome, that flew out of the UK, Manchester. So that and the Kings would like the ones we have coming up next is Strange Advance. Sorry, not Strange Advance, Strange Love in
Okay.
January, and then we have who do we have? Oh, China Crisis. After that, then we have Derek Forbes from Simple Minds and his band coming up. Then we have the band Toronto that's performing for us, and
Oh, wow. Yeah.
then we have our annual secret show, which is, like I said, Bud Ends, the McBowl concert series. That's at the end of May.
Awesome. Sounds like you got another big year coming up for you.
Yeah, it's and like I said, we're unveiling the entire lineup for our McBowl concert series. We're hoping by the end of this week, but I already
Okay.
let you in a nugget with Honeymoon Suite.
Okay.
So they're coming on Friday, like I said, May 23rd. So
Sure.
that's one that's already signed. So on an annual basis, unless, like I told Johnny and Derry, I said, listen, it's your show until you don't want it anymore, or people are
Yeah.
sick and tired of coming to watch it. They don't want to buy tickets anymore. So that will never happen in terms of not wanting to buy tickets. Is maybe, hopefully, again, never happen health
Sure.
wise. And that hopefully they'll do it for it, as long as they can. And I feel the same way.
And you never get bored of seeing them live, do you?
Oh no, no. I mean, I'd hate to tell you how many times I've seen, ever, know the
Yeah.
set off. The advantage that I have is I'm about from my office on a daily basis one way. It's between an hour 10 minutes drive. So it's about, give or take, round trip. 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2.5 hours on a good day.
Yeah, on a good day. Yeah.
On a good day. So I still, old school, still have my CDs.
Yep.
So I pop in my Honeymoon Suite CD and my Flock of Seagull CD, band spoons, I'll pop them in the CD player that I still have, and know the lyrics.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, when a band's playing live, listen, I always tell, I've told Johnny, I've told Mike from Flock of Seagulls, I told Gord, I said, listen, I believe in theaters, the understudy performs on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
So I said, whenever you guys got shows on Monday, hey, just call me. I'm your understudy. I know all the lyrics. Not a big deal. Right?
Yeah.
So to your point about ever getting bored, God, no, no. I could listen to, I'll drive the wife and kids crazy,
Yeah.
listening to Iran, which gotta be, if I say a million times, I may be exaggerating, but not by that much.
No.
Like it's how can you not, you know, how can you not know when you have like so much time to kill in the car, and what are you gonna do, right? You can't be on
Yeah.
your, so you listen to the music. You sing along?
There's just songs like that that you just it doesn't matter how many times you heard it. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when I hear that opening of "Don't You Forget About Me" by Simple
yeah.
Minds, I turn it up every
You know
time.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
constantly. Like my favorite Simple Minds song is "New Gold Dream." Like I'll listen to that, and now having Derek Forbes, who was instrumental in that song, and Waterfront with his opening
yeah,
bass line. I mean, not having someone that again was the creator of that sound and having him perform for one of our shows.
sure,
Yeah, that's when you start pinching yourself, right? Like, did I ever think that that would happen? No, but you know what? I'm not special. It can happen to anybody.
for sure.
Right? Just a matter of listen, just treat everybody with the utmost respect, and good things happen, right? It's not a matter of anything else. What I know is what you know, the same thing you know, Alan, the same thing that everybody else knows. It's how you apply it that matters, right?
Well, I appreciate the respect you give me by
Yeah.
granting me time to talk about music and what you do. Again, you come to me anytime you want. I don't have a big audience, but I'm hoping it's going to grow because of you. And I'm more than happy to help you promote anything you want.
Everything starts with one, right? The first show, and a lot of people may not know this, but I know I've told others numerous times. First show I ever was involved with, 1989, Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And sitting here today, Alan, and I've told umpteen people this story. When they went up on stage, and I had like a mini place that I was running at the time, and turned around to one of my staff members, I said, "These guys ain't going anywhere." And like, and the joke's on me, right? They're just
Yeah.
a little too quirky for me, but man, are they talented and the
Yeah.
nicest guys you could ever meet.
Yeah.
But it's not like my cup of tea. Like Rough Trade, love Rough Trade. Carol Pope has become one of my best friends. I love Carol. And, you know, and the influence that she's had on our community
Yeah.
is bar none. When X number of times that I booked her, and even at the Alamo, when we do like a little sound check, a little meet and greet, I mean, tears just flow down people's faces. They go, Ed, you don't know the impact that this lady had on my life.
Yeah.
It allowed me to be who I really was. And
Yep.
I don't even know, and I've told Carol this something times as well. I don't even know that she knows the influence that she's had on people. But as she's getting
Yeah.
older, as we're all getting older, I think she's realizing it more and more that very few people in this world make a difference. But I can honestly tell you, Carol made a difference.
For sure.
And love the lady to death. Work with her as often as I can. As a matter of fact, she's performed numerous times for me at the McBull concert series. I brought her in for our R&B session series. Brought her in at the Almo quite a number of times. And her keyboard player, the first time that she performed at the Almo was Rob Bruce
Oh, right.
Booms. And no, I think that was the second time, because the first time was speaking of the Bare Naked Ladies, his name escapes me now. The keyboard player that also plays with
Kevin?
Earl. Yeah, Kevin.
Okay.
So he was the keyboard player for the first time that I booked Rough Trade
Oh,
at
very
the
cool.
and then the second year, then Rob, because he was on tour with the Bare Naked Ladies, and so then Rob filled in. But yeah, and same thing, great band. I mean, can you imagine a band like that if they had the opportunity to make it outside Canada? The influence that they would have had.
Yeah.
It's and all the other bands. Like if it's I've worked with Chilliwack numerous times, with Harlequin numerous
Yeah.
times. I loved working with Streetheart. Phenomenal guys, right? And,
Yeah.
all they needed was that one opportunity, and unfortunately, most of them never got it outside the country.
Yeah.
But they're still our own, and we love them to death because of that, because they're so talented.
No, it's great. It's great that they're like you and I were talking earlier. It's great that they're still doing what they do. And like you said, they still have an audience, and even they're surprised that there's
Yeah,
still people coming to see them
no,
after all these years.
and they like I said, we keep bringing them back. I do a lot of repeat shows in terms of repeating the artists that I work with, because there's such a demand for it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not reinventing the wheel. If you like Honeymoon Suite, or you love Honeymoon Suite, I'm going to keep bringing Honeymoon Suite back,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it's a guaranteed show, like guaranteed sellout. Like I don't deal in uncertainties, right? I'm too old to deal with uncertainty.
For sure.
Yeah, give me an act that I know will do really well and bring smiles to people's faces and saying, when are they coming back? The show's not even over. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're bringing them back. That's how you know they're successful, right?"
for
So like
sure.
China Crisis, they bring them back every year. They only do shows for me. They come back. Imagine flying at their age, flying across the Atlantic, 5 hour time difference to do a show and then fly back.
Yeah.
That's I'm grateful for that. I can't thank them enough for it. They don't have to do it. Listen, the amount of money that they're getting paid, they're not retiring on what we're paying them,
No.
right? And
Yeah.
so they enjoy doing it, and we enjoy having them.
It's great stuff you do. It doesn't sound to me like you're stopping anytime soon. You just because you just love what you're doing. But
Yeah, as long as I have my health, yeah, that's the only thing that's going to stop me. Besides that, yeah, it's a passion project, labor of love, and
yeah,
just to do what we can, and dealing with the individuals that we mentioned previously. Yeah, like why would you stop? Why would you stop?
I understand you more than you know. Trust me, because I'm as passionate about this music as you are, and probably more than I should be. But
No, no, no. It's all yeah, like it's all good. And music, if you think about it, it's the only art form that can literally take you back to a specific point in time because it's
absolutely,
in
yeah.
increments. It's like 3-4 minute increments. Like
You can
how
remember
many,
exactly where you were and how
yeah,
many where you heard that song, and yeah,
like I'm an avid reader, and I've told Perry Lefko, one of Canada's best-selling authors, a very good friend of mine. I've told them this. I said, if a higher power came down and they said, Ed, you have to give up music or your love of reading, I would give up music in a heartbeat.
oh really? Wow.
Reading is reading is a thing that literally, I said a song kind of takes you away for that point in time. A book will take you away for like months at a time, depending on how
Yeah,
long you take to read it.
yeah.
And the knowledge that you accumulate from a book, they can never take that away, right?
No,
Like I have
yeah.
an extensive library at home. And when I look at it, I'm looking at all these books, and I'm like, going, wow, I've actually read all those books. But then I think and I go, well, the reason you are the way you are is because you've read all those books. Right. And, but yeah, as much as I just love music, but if I had to give it up, yeah, I can't get enough of reading. I could spend days at chapters,
Yeah.
you know, I could literally spend days at a store and just going through, I mean, there's really, I don't even know, libraries still exist. I'm assuming so, but
Yeah.
going to a bookstore and just the smell of books, I really, really enjoy that.
I'd
Uh,
like to see you write a book about your music
Actually,
adventures.
again, funny thing you mentioned that because Perry, we're working on it. So we're looking maybe coming out in 2026, 2027, depending how schedule works wise. Yeah, basically be, quote unquote, my life story, my autobiography. Hopefully I still got another, 100 years to live.
I'll be one of the first to buy it.
But there's a story in that. But it's, yeah, hopefully it'll kind of, ooze through the pages, the passion that we have for what we're doing. Uh,
Sounds like we'll have more interviews in the future if you got a book coming out.
Yeah, let's hope so, Alan. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
I can't thank you enough for joining me again. I really appreciate it. Again, I love what you do. Your passion amazes me every time I talk to you. Um, and hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Just a phone call away, Alan. Anytime you need it, gladly be on with you. So
Thanks a
thanks for
lot.
having. Thanks, Alan.
Take care.
Okay, bye.